Faith Abraham. Welcome back to the broadcast, the place where we help you get your mind right, your spirit right, and your money right, because they don't need to be separated. All of them can be right. And tonight we're going to talk about very quickly, because yes, it is the 4th of July. If you are in the United States of America, happy 4th. Juneteenth passed, and so now we're on 4th of July. And so, what's the next holiday? It's another holiday. Americans, we love us some holidays, okay? So, I hope you're enjoying your holiday. But I do want to address something with you. And as you see in the title, when trauma, when trauma becomes your friend, when you use trauma. Now, as a counselor, I've been counseling for almost 20 years now. And I've also been business coaching as well for about 15 years or so. And one of the things that I see a lot of is people who are really, really connected to the trauma that they've endured, the trauma that they've been through, the trauma that they've seen. And one of the things that usually happens is those people are on a healing journey. And so they're looking to heal from the things that they've been through, the things that they endured, the things that were withheld from them, the things that they didn't have. And so what happens is a lot of times people allow that trauma to become their identity. They allow the trauma to become a part of them. And one of the things that I end up having to do a lot of is a lot of mindset work, where I'm having to help my clients break down who they think they are based on the trauma and because of the trauma, and help them tap into, flow into, work into who they actually are outside of trauma. And when we're able to do that, it's an automatic shift. It's an immediate shift, because now we're allowing the trauma to be a resource versus it being this negative thing that we're trying to push away, and we don't want to have access to us, and we don't want to identify with, and we want to push away and subdue and not deal with or think about or see when, deal with, think about, process, address. One of the things I was speaking about with one of my clients last this week. The days are just going. We were talking together, and I said, you know what, one of the things I want you to do is I want you to tell yourself, and I'm gonna change her name. I want you to tell yourself, old Stephanie, we'll say old Stephanie. Hi, Scotland. Hello. Old Stephanie, or traumatized Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting me this far. I appreciate you. I love you. Based on the information that you had, you did what you could. But now I'm going to allow a different version of myself to step forward. I'm going to allow a different version of myself to run the show. So what we were doing was literally giving and showing appreciation and love to the part of herself that was hurting, to the part of herself that felt neglected, to the part of herself that people had, abused and traumatized and disrespected and overruled and all of that stuff. We acknowledge that version and part of herself, but then we also acknowledged a part of herself that was powerful, creative, that though that version of herself had gone through trauma, it wasn't her identity anymore. And so she started just little things that we would do, and we would set forth just little goals that we would hit that would allow her to directly deal with, hey, India, we are a multicultural broadcast tonight. Hello, everyone. So we would I would set forth goals, just little things, objectives that she could do that would cause her to, yes, identify the trauma and address the trauma, but also show a different side of herself that we already knew existed. She knew existed, but she just hadn't allowed herself to latch onto, because it's easier for you to identify with that hurt version of yourself because you've played it in your mind over and over and over and over and over and over again your whole life. It's easier for you to identify with that hurt part of yourself than it is for the empowered, the bold, the fearless, the courageous, the action taker version of yourself, because that version of yourself hasn't existed. It hasn't had the opportunity to talk, to speak, to show up, to do things, to be available. So we literally had to say, you know what? Thank you, traumatized Stephanie. Appreciate you. You've done well, but you sit back. And now we're going to let empowered Stephanie run the show. We're going to let empowered Stephanie take over. We're going to let empowered Stephanie be the one to take us to the next level. So what we were doing is we were saying, appreciating where she was and who she was at the time, and now allowing the next part of her to show up. And that is the part about healing that people miss, because that identity piece is so wrapped up in that trauma. But you get to a place, if you allow yourself, and this can be very, very hard for a lot of people, but if you allow yourself to get to a place where the new version of yourself can step forth, you begin to start living a different type of life. You start seeing a different type of result. Things start changing. People who come into your life start changing. Your business starts increasing. Yes, because trauma affects your money. People who identify and have a lot of their identity wrapped up into the trauma will have trauma-based results. And traumatized people have a very hard time dealing with money and working with money, increasing money, investing money, growing money, multiplying money, circulating money. But when you now shift and you allow trauma to become an asset to you, you allow it to be something that helps you, you allow it to be something that's there. Yes, that's a real thing that actually happened, but that's not who I am. Woo! It's different. It's different. Okay. You literally, so I had a client, and one of the things that we were working on was she always felt like people, I think the best way to say it was she always felt like people didn't listen to her and people intentionally misunderstood her. So what she would do is she would shut down. She would intentionally not do things because she didn't want to have that feeling of people not listening or being rejected or not being heard or not being, because it kind of turned into, for her, what it did was it turned into a sense of rejection within herself. So when she was doing her business, she has so much to say. She has so much knowledge in what her passion was and what she was all about, but she didn't express it and she wouldn't share it because she was anticipating people telling her that they don't understand. She would anticipate people telling her that what she was offering in her business, it wasn't worth it. They understood that already. She didn't offer anything. Like, she anticipated all of this rejection and all of these bad things. And so guess what? She got exactly that, because that's what she anticipated. She was so used to that. And the story that she kept telling herself was that people don't understand me. People aren't going to get it. I talk too much. I'm overly passionate, all these different things. And so when we started just saying, okay, where did that come from? So we realized where that came from. So then I started saying, okay, let's do this thing. And what I would do is I would relate it to her business, but then I would also make sure that it touched those sensitive areas of her, those trauma trigger areas in her life. trigger points, you could say. So it would be like for her to do something. So I would tell her, okay, for example, I want you to go live. And I want you to go live for 10 to 15 minutes. And when you go live, I want you to discuss this for your business. Okay, well, how long does this need to be? Okay, what if nobody comes on? Okay, and so she had like all these questions, and I'm like, all these questions are just a reflection of the rejection that you are anticipating. And part of the reason why you're not making money in your business is because you're anticipating being rejected. You're not even giving people the chance to reject. And they're not even rejecting you. They're just rejecting what you're trying to give them. But if you meet enough people who like what you have, eventually, yeah, you're going to have some people who don't want it, but you're going to have a lot more people who do want it because it's serving a need. It's giving people what they want. And people won't deny what they want. They'll always buy what they want. Some people won't even buy what they need. They'll buy what they want before they buy what they need. And that's okay. You know, they'll work that out. We'll figure that out for them when the time comes, right? But the point is, she was rejecting herself and rejecting her offer before she even made the offer. So I would put those goals in front of her. I would tell her to do certain things, and then she would have to do it. And she had all these questions, and all of the questions pointed right back to that rejection. And I said, okay, what if we took that rejection and we used it as an asset? If people are going to reject you talking about this point, what's another point you could talk about? What's another point? Okay, let's brainstorm some ideas that you would have, right? That correlate to your business that a potential client would want to know about. And so we would do a lot of brainstorming, and she had a notebook that was specifically tied to this thing. And so she started going live. And at first she wouldn't show her face. And I was fine with that. Don't show your face, cool. But just go live and start talking and start sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, because she's just so good. Well, guess what? After a while, it started becoming a habit for her to go live. So she started going live very regularly, which then allowed her to build a following. And then that following loved what she was offering. And so they started buying stuff even before. What? I'm ready. Let's go now. I thought she was picking you up. Oh, no. Okay, you need to give me 5 minutes. Oh. Okay. Yeah, 5 minutes. Time me. Okay. 4th of July celebrations. All right. So, sorry guys, where did I leave off? She started, okay, so she started building a following, and then that following started buying her stuff. Guys, today, my client is very successful, and she has been able to have consistent income, and she figured out that she loves going live, she loves communicating, she loves answering questions, she loves being a resource for people. Does she still deal with rejection? Yeah, she does. See, you thought I was going to say that since she started doing that, she doesn't deal with rejection anymore and she got over it and voila, it has disappeared. No, a lot of times, guys, you don't necessarily, it's not like trauma or things that hurt you disappear. What happens is they become less and less and less of a factor in your life. That is true healing. True healing is when you can say, yes, that happened to me. No, that's not my identity. No, I don't operate from that place anymore. And yes, I know how to observe it, and not only observe it, but use it to my advantage. So if I know I deal with anxiety, and it's a big thing for me, then I'm not going to say, oh, I have to heal so that I'll never experience anxiety again. That's not real. That it doesn't happen that way. What actually happens is you begin to acknowledge the fact that you deal with anxiety, and you start figuring out your triggers of anxiety, and you figure out ways to work around it or you acknowledge it. Man, I'm so anxious right now. Okay. Why am I anxious though? What is triggering me? What are the thoughts that I'm thinking that are making me feel anxious? Okay. So now, and I'm going to tell you guys, I don't even have time. This girl in her little event tonight. Okay. If you have not seen Inside Out 1, I suggest you watch Inside Out 1. After you see 1, watch Inside Out 2. It just came out. It's at the movie theater right now. This is not a paid promo. It should be. Pixar, call me because I love those movies. I tell my clients all the time to watch that movie. Those two movies now, but at first it was just Inside Out 1 because one of the scenes in Inside Out 2, I'm going to just give this to you, okay? But one of the scenes in Inside Out 2 that was so good, Inside Out 2 introduced a couple of new emotions, okay? And the new emotions were anxiety, embarrassment, blah or boredom, I think his name was, and envy. The emotions that were there previously were anger, fear, disgust, joy, and sadness. Anxiety is new. And anxiety was like doing her thing in one of the scenes. And then Joy was like, why are you doing that? Like, that's not necessary. And then fear was like, oh, we're good. This is going to be good. We're going to work really well together. I find my 5 minutes is not up. Did you time it? My 5 minutes is not up. It literally, I'm looking at the time. It's not up. Okay, count it down. So anyway, fear and anxiety were like in cahoots with each other in the movie. So I want you to know that there's certain emotions that work together. And so will you ever get rid of fear? No, you won't get rid of fear because as long as you are ambitious, you are driven, you are looking to break boundaries, you're looking to become a better version of yourself, you're looking to do greater and bigger things for yourself, you're always going to experience fear because fear is trying to protect you so you don't do anything that will hurt yourself or damage you, right? However, you have to be able to acknowledge the fear and say, hey, fear, I see you. Well, this is the plan. And this is the plan. And if that goes wrong, I'm going to do this. And if that goes wrong, I'm going to do that. That's how you use anxiety for your benefit. That's how you use anxiety to help you. How do you use rejection to help you? Same thing. But instead of, if you anticipate that people are going to reject you, okay, then what's the next thing that you can do? What's another thing that you can do? So now, instead of it paralyzing you and stopping you from succeeding and from winning and from growing and from becoming all that you're meant to be, you're now using it as a resource. It's allowing you to see something that maybe you didn't see before. And I'm saying this and it comes out really easily, but it is challenging because you've gone at least 2 decades of your life operating a certain way. So now to operate another way, a different way, it takes some grace, it takes some effort, it takes some time. But I'm telling you, some of the most successful people, some of the most powerful people, some of the people who have changed their lives, the way they started is not the way that they've ended. The power of God, the hand of God on their life, I mean, it looks like they are a walking, talking miracle. They are in a certain regard, but they are also proof and power to being able to manage self-management, manage yourself, manage your emotions in a way that is productive, in a way that moves you forward. So one of the things that you really got to understand is trauma is not a reason to stop. It's a reason to go forward. It's a resource when you learn how to use it. And when you learn how to use it, you will absolutely be successful. You will absolutely hit those goals. You will absolutely blow it out of the park. The same people who were laughing at you and saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, are going to be the same people who call you up and be like, hey, let me hold something. Hey, can you do this for me? Hey, I'm really needing some prayer right now. Can you pray for me? They will be the same people to call you. but you got to put in the work. You got to allow it to not be an excuse, but rather become a resource for you. Because some of the most successful people, you will never believe. I think I saw a video the other day on Instagram. I'm surprised I didn't save it. And it was Chris Brown, and he was talking about how he felt imposter syndrome. And you would think, Chris Brown, you've been doing this since you were a kid. This should be like easy peasy for you, but it's not. So I gotta go, guys. My kid has an event, so I gotta take her. But listen to me. Stop allowing trauma to stop you. Allow trauma to be a resource. Allow it to literally be a platform. You can absolutely take control over what happened to you. Well, let me say it this way. You can't control what happened to you, but you can control what happens with you, in the sense of the only thing you can control is what you do each and every day. You can't rewind time. You can't erase that stuff. It happened. And now it's time to process, to push, and allow it to propel. All right. I love you. Enjoy your holiday. I'll definitely see you soon. I try to come on live, especially on Thursdays at about 12 p.m. in the middle of the day, but it's a holiday. Some other stuff has been going on, so time got away from me, but make sure you turn on your notifications so you don't miss a thing, and I will definitely look forward to seeing you soon. I actually am going to reignite my membership. I was doing it before, and then I got sick, so I had to let it go, but I'm revving it up. So turn on your notifications, get ready. I'm going to keep you posted on it. You're not going to want to miss it, okay? Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.